Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mirror and Muse. Today I'm gonna do some questions, and this is live stream. So if anyone tunes in, they can submit questions in the chat. And this will go on my Spotify and my YouTube as well. So I'll just pull up. I have collated the questions into a notepad on my phone, so I will use that to kind of figure out where we're going with this. The questions are in no particular order, and they're kind of all vary in length. Some are written like quite a few sentences, and some are just one word, one line. I don't know why I'm explaining that. Anyway, I'm here with my Paw Patrol cup of coffee, because it's the only one that fits under my coffee machine. Also, don't know why I'm over explaining. Am I nervous? Maybe I'm nervous. Anyway, usually when I do these, I have a co-host. So this is me. I also have been looking at microphones because I think that I should use one because it will give better sound quality and then overall a better quality recording. But we'll get there one step at a time. I mean, it's taken me how many weeks to do another episode after the last one. So anyway, let's get into it with some questions. And the first one is relevant. There's like varying topics in the questions, but the first one is relevant because I can so relate to this. So it says, it's a constant battle with my child, from spitting to putting on their shoes to blatantly ignoring me. Tips on how I can shift from power struggle to connection and understanding. I just want to acknowledge it's hard. Like having kids that it feels like a constant battle, it's hard. And having kids that do things that disrespect you, like spitting, yelling, hitting, violence, that shit is triggering. At least for me it is. So I just want to acknowledge it's hard. Tips on how you can shift from power struggle into connection and understanding. Well, I think for myself, and I can only speak for myself, but with the power struggle thing, is that really just taking more of a less emotional approach. So when my child is resisting and it is becoming a power struggle, I consciously have the thought of like, okay, we're getting into back and forward here. We don't need to be getting into back and forward because all I asked you to do was go and have a shower. And I started off with my kids doing gentle parenting, actually only with my son. And it fucking sucked. It was shit. Like I gave him too many choices. I let him have too much space to decide. And he was a toddler who couldn't decide, and also neurodivergent. So also couldn't like, and I'm not saying he couldn't decide, but like he was a child. He didn't need 45 lists of what he wants to wear today. Just tell him, here's your clothes and put them on. And if he has an issue, then we can talk about it. But I think I just overwhelmed him with too much choice, too much freedom, and not enough security in the boundaries. So when I think, but for the fear of everything being a power struggle, I wanted my children to feel this freedom of being their own person and having their own voice. And so for me, when it comes to the power struggle, I guess it's about taking it from being about the thing, like, and asking yourself, is it about the thing? Like, say it's the power struggle of putting on the shoes. It's kind of like for myself, I just lay out, wow, this needs to be done because we're leaving in 5 minutes. Like, and leaving it at that. If it's not done, then okay, well, you must be going to school in your socks. And kind of just really getting to know your children. What works for one child doesn't work for the other. So when you talk about connection and understanding, that is the whole thing around reducing the power struggle, is to know your child and to know what will and won't work for them. You can scroll TikTok, Instagram all day looking for parenting strategies. There's fucking tons of them, but none of them will know your child in the way that you do, and none of them will tell you necessarily with the same values. So I think as well, it's like looking at the same values that you hold, looking at the values you hold and how those really, what matters to you. An example the other day for like the power struggle, you know, with my son, I had 3 power struggles within, it was like freaking 7 a.m. And he wanted to watch a movie on, we're a low screen family, low to no screens. And I said, no, you're not watching a movie. And he like lost his shit. And then, you know, there was the next thing and the next thing. And then by the time we got to breakfast, he was like, I want noodles for breakfast. Like, this kid doesn't have noodles for breakfast. Like, I don't let him. But for whatever reason that day, he was like fixated on the noodles. And in that moment, I was like, I can either push back on this and have our 5th meltdown, or I can just go, you know what? It doesn't hurt anyone if he has fucking noodles. And so he had the noodles. And we got to school on time after the noodles because he had got his yes met. Off we went, and he had a great day at school. So I think it's just about like reflecting what's important, where's your child, what's important, where's your child at, and what values you hold, as well as no, that's it. Hope that answers your question. I feel like that was all very all over the place. What made you want to get a moko kauae? Well, it was something that I had felt I wanted back since 2016, 17. But I didn't feel good enough at that time, and I couldn't imagine myself being brave enough. And then I started to have dreams about it back in 2024. And as I dreamt of it, I was like, that's weird. When I got a tattoo in many years ago, my first ever tattoo in Tamoko, it was done by artist Tyler Jade. And when I got my tattoo done there, I said if I ever get a moko kauae, I would get her to do it. In my dream that I was having in 2024, it was in this particular space. Tyler Jade was there and she was tattooing me. And I had a husband there in my dream. I thought that was weird too, because I was like, I'm never gonna be with a guy. I'm bisexual, but I don't like men, was kind of my thing. Like in my mind at that time, men only had one purpose. Anyway, so I started to dream about it, and then I had a couple of visits from a tupuna of mine, and it really pushed me. And then I started to feel it on my face. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm going to book it and do it. And I don't care what anyone says. And yeah, that's kind of the process. It's not like that for everyone. That was just my process. But when we got to do my moko kauae, it had been raining that whole week, and it's winter, so it's shitty weather. And we drove up, and there was like a rainbow that landed like right in the paddock next to the studio. And we walk in, and I'm like, oh my God, this is that room that I saw in my dream. Like, I saw this room. And then I realized, oh my God, my boyfriend is here, my partner is here, and it's a male, and I wouldn't want anyone else like to hold my hand other than him as like, you know, my partner. My friends were there and my whānau were there. Anyway, I say to her, that's so trippy. I had this dream about this very room a year ago. And she looks at me and says, well, that's trippy because we only moved in here 3 days ago, and you're the first moko kauae that I've done in this area, in this studio. And so, yeah, it was kind of like, you know, there were many tohu or signs that for us, or for me, not us, for me, I knew that it was the right thing to do. Next question. Any tips for solo mums? Oh my gosh, so many. First of all, it's hard. Second of all, I've also been a mum with why is it telling me? I've also been a mum with a less than helpful partner. That's hard too. But tips for solo mums, meal prep. Like in our house, it's okay to eat the same thing 2 nights in a row. My kids don't love it, but I don't care because I'm not going to spend 45 minutes in the kitchen every night preparing food. So for us, meal prepping is like a big win. Or I'll make double and freeze half of it. So then I can just pull that out of the freezer on a night that I'm not feeling like making dinner. Other tips would be, again, just I guess knowing what's important to you. For me, I've got to a place in my life where I need order and tidiness in my house to function at the best capacity. So that means that our routine has getting the house reset at night all together as a family until the next morning when I wake up, it's all done. And that kind of helps the flow of the day, being the only person that's there to make the lunches, make the breakfasts, get them dressed, and go about the morning routine. Another tip is like I often, because I work from home, so I often will make the dinner while they're at school, and then they come home and have dinner like right away. And then often they'll have toast or porridge for like supper, dinner later. But the main meal rather than snacks when they get home seems to work quite well. Leaning on other solo mums is another thing. I have a beautiful friend, a couple friends that are solo mums, and it'll be like, hey, I've got this, this, and this in my fridge. What do you have? And she'll be like, I've got this, this, and this. And I'll be like, let's do a throw together. And then we just all have dinners together, and that's easy. I guess for me, like dinners, I'm going there in my mind because dinners is like the hardest. So for our family. But yeah, I think it's just more to scale that back. It's like more about find your community, find your people. And that means putting yourself out there sometimes and like being vulnerable and saying like, hey, I'm struggling. Want to do do you want to go for a walk together? Do you want to do this together? Just kind of putting yourself out there so that you're not isolating yourself to parent alone. It's like fucking hard. I'm just thinking about all the things that are hard about being a solo parent. Once you get a flow, though, I feel like it's easier. Not easier, but like I don't have to consult anyone about anything. I love that. Just like here doing it. I feel guilty even writing this, but here goes. I constantly have low energy, and I feel bad for how little I can give my kids some days. They irritate me, and I'm already burnt out. And then I hate myself for feeling that way. I wish I could be more involved, but right now I'm just surviving. Do you have any advice? Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the guilt you feel. And like forgive yourself for not meeting the expectations that you think you should meet. And are those expectations created by yourself, or are they projection of other people's expectation? Like sometimes I think that we tell ourselves that we should be doing X, Y, and Z with our kids because that's what society tells us, or that's what our family think, or that's what you've grown up believing. But is that actually what's best for you and your family and your kids? I think it's about like when you have ebbs and flows and energy, it's about like knowing again what's important to me, what are like the non-negotiables, what are the things that I need to get done in order for us to feel like we're running as a family. So whether that's food, or whether that's like a certain bedtime, or whether that's a walk every day, or whatever it is, and using those as the things that you put your energy into, and the other things, you'll get to those. There'll come a time where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. as my mentor would say, like there'll come a time where you outgrow that and you choose to move on into, or you not choose, but you recover, or I don't know whether you're postpartum. If you're postpartum, there's a whole thing of like, just let the day by day happen and you will get back on your feet and you'll keep going. If you've got chronic illness, then that's like, again, looking at conserving the energy. So, okay, I know that at this time of day is my best and at this time of day is my worst. So I'm going to make sure when I'm feeling my best, I use that time to prioritize folding the washing, I don't know, vacuuming the floor, and I don't know, calling a friend. So that you have like whatever it is that your top needs are, whether that's like socializing, whether that's like the physical domestic stuff, whether it's like journaling, meditating, whatever it is that fills your cup to make sure that you can carry on. That would be my advice. Do that first. And yeah, in terms of like the feeling, the guilt of like your children irritating you because you're already burnt out, just forgive yourself and just know that so much of our own disappointment at ourselves and our being mad at ourselves like cause us to feel shitty. And really, if you scale it right back, like where's that coming from on a deeper level? Do you feel like when you say you feel bad for how little you can give your kids, like what is it that you think that they're missing out on? What is it that you think that they need that they're not getting? And is that the reality, or is that just based on your perception, or is that just how you feel? I hope that helps. This one is a really big one actually, and I haven't thought about it, so I'm going off the cuff here. I got sent this one just before I jumped on. What would it take for Māori, myself included, to have money and feel empowered and not ashamed of it? This is like a multi-faceted question. Because my initial thought was like, but there are Māori that have money. Like there are wealthy Māori out there. But I guess it depends on the circles you mix in and what you're seeing, right? And your perception. Again, it goes back to your perception. And that's not to say like, yes, there are a lot of Māori that really do struggle and are below the poverty line, for sure. There are a lot of Māori who have been in the poverty cycle for like generations and generations because they had their like whole lifestyle and whole system disrupted through like colonization and that kind of stuff. So it's, I guess, looking when I think about what would it take for Māori to have money, I think for me, where I would start is like, what would it take? Because money is just a resource, right? So if we look at, instead of focusing on that resource as what is the word I want to use? Instead of looking at that resource as the thing, what if we took it and changed it into swapped out the money for like self-identity? So instead of saying, what would it take for them to have money? What would it take for them to see their greatness and see them as them? What would it take for them to feel like they were worthy? Because money's just the resource that they can tap into if they've navigated that path of feeling worthy to it. You can't have money if you don't feel worthy of it. So I think like you have to take it back too. what do we need for our people to feel worthy within themselves? And my answer is going back to the original wounding of childhood and beliefs and intergenerational trauma. You know, if we've grown up in environments where it's shameful to have money because you've put and not feel ashamed of it. If we've grown up in environments where it's like an us and them mentality, you know, all those rich ones over there and we're over here, and like, oh, look at them because they've got money and we don't. And so there's like this shame that's going around with the view of wealth. And so it's, I guess, peeling that back and saying, is that true? Like, do I believe, or do we believe, do I believe that some people are worthy of more money than others? Do I believe that race and money go together? Do I believe that money is a limited resource? Because if you think that race and money go together, then there's the issue. If you think that money is a limited resource, then there's the issue. If you think that you're not worthy of money, then there's the issue. And so it's more about where is it in your own thinking that you can kind of deconstruct that belief. Does that make sense? And I can't talk to it from coming, like, I didn't come from wealth, but I didn't come from poverty. But I've always been financially independent since I was 19. And like, I would never ask my parents for a loan or money, and never. So I guess, but my mindset around money was like, money comes and goes. And I grew up with the mindset, like, my parents had a dairy farm, so everything was just like on, in debt. So like, but it didn't matter because by the next season, the debt would get paid off. So I just have, I guess, growing up with that view of money comes and goes and that's okay, and it's just a resource. But I've also come with the view of you have to work hard for your money. And that was some deconstructing I had to do. Is like, money is just a resource that you choose how hard you work for it, based on your belief of your worthiness. And that's an ongoing kōrero I have within myself too, that one. Okay. Tips for boundaries with family members who have different opinions with raising kids. I like this question. There's also a lot of podcasts that this question would be asked. But I'll just talk to my own experience. Tips were for me. So I have like family members who are quite conservative Christian, and they're raising their children that way. And I'm raising my children very open-minded, very kind of like allowed to tap into their Te Ao Māori side, allowed to tap into the Christian side, allowed to tap into the spiritual, more kind of hippie side, I guess you could say. And so there's like no limit to their exploration. And what that means is like, there's obviously a very big difference between my beliefs and my family's beliefs of like what's appropriate for kids, and also how to handle certain situations. So with my family, I ended up actually just putting my foot down and saying, look, I don't judge you and your decisions to do X, Y, Z. So I need you to, when it comes to this topic and this topic, I don't want you to share your thoughts. And they didn't like that. They kind of were like, well, if we're family and we can't say what we think, like, what's the point of having family? And I was like, that's not the issue. I don't mind hearing your opinion on anything else. But when it comes to this topic and this topic and this topic, we will never see eye to eye on that. We will never understand where the other person is coming from. There is no middle ground. So the middle ground is we don't talk about those things. And that's how we've had a good relationship. It's just like we just don't talk about those things. I don't comment on their parenting, they don't comment on mine. Do they kind of give like side eyes or like kind of, what is the word, make you can kind of sense that they disagree with how my kids are behaving or what's happening? Yeah. Do I care? Sometimes, but no. At the end of the day, I wouldn't raise my children the way that they're raising theirs. So, and I don't judge them for that. That's their choice. So why do I care if they have an opinion about how I'm raising mine? They're entitled to their opinion. It's whether or not I take it on board. And so I think just the main thing is just stating what the boundary is. Look, Mum, when we're over, you cannot talk about XYZ. Or, we in our house, we don't let them watch X, Y, and Z. So I ask that you respect that. I'm still navigating this with my own mum and like her opinions around medication and children with medication. And so like it's an ongoing discussion and it's awkward and it's uncomfortable, but what's worse is like completely avoiding the topic and avoiding talking about it, which my family is traditionally very good at, because it makes everyone uncomfortable. But it's like, well, there's no room for growth if you don't discuss it. And what's the worst that can happen? Like it causes a rift and you don't talk to each other for 2 years. Do you really care? Like, do you love your family enough and do they love you enough that you'll get over it? Or is it just like, okay, well, we'll just have a rift in our family then. That's the way it'll be. Like, yeah. Okay, someone else commented, oh, this kind of goes back into, no, it doesn't. I read your recent post about savior complex. I've noticed that pattern in my own relationships. I'm always the one fixing, supporting, giving, but I never seem to receive that same energy back. I'm starting to wonder if I'm attracting broken people or if I'm just broken. How do I break this cycle I'm in? So I guess what I want to say, you want me to take the like harsh route or the soft route? I'm going to take the harsh route. Sorry, not sorry. Someone's going to tell you. If you want to know, if you don't want to know, then maybe you want to mute the podcast right now, because I'm just going to tell you like it is, and it was for me, is like, are you broken? No, you're not broken. Is the way you maybe think broken? Yep. Do you think that that's all that you're worthy of, is like people that are needing fixing, needing to be your project? What is it about you that thinks that you don't deserve more than that? What is it about you that makes you think that that's all you can attract? And I know for myself, like, it was my own belief of what I had told myself was that no one will love you. No one that's like amazing and incredible like you think that you would want you. And that can't be further from the truth. And the thing is that we limit ourselves through our own interpretation of things. So how do you break the cycle you're in? Change the way you think. Do some inner child work. Look at what's the deeper issue there. Because is it that you fall in love with broken people, or is it that you don't respect yourself enough to leave when they are mistreating you or you've outgrown them? If they want to put the work into themselves and they want to help fix themselves, that's a different story. But if you're just with people that are always like needing you to put all your time and energy into them and it's not reciprocated, then there's no point in being in, that's not a two-way relationship. So yeah, to recap, you're not broken, just your thinking, it might be. And see, I should never try and say the same thing twice, because then I can never remember what I said. Um, oh, and how do you break the cycle? You break the cycle by doing the inner child work, changing the way you think, looking at what it is that you believe that keeps you in that cycle. Where's the core belief? What's the core root of that? All right, next question. What's the secret to actually following through when your mind is sabotaging you? I like that question. Damn, there's a lot of questions here. I don't know if we're going to get through all of them. What's the secret to actually following through when your mind is sabotaging you? Why is your mind sabotaging you? I don't know. What's the secret to actually following through when your mind is sabotaging you? Is there a secret? Is there a secret to it? Or is it just that your mind thinks some fucked up shit and how much of it is real? Is it based on reality or is it based on perception? Is it based on fact or is it based on worry and could be's, maybes, what ifs? Because if you start dealing in fact, then it can get a little easier. Okay. How do you handle the guilt of not being the parent you thought you'd be? You forgive yourself. The guilt is only coming because you're mad at yourself. The guilt is only coming because you believe deep down that it's your fault or that you're a bad parent or that you should be doing better. Just have some self-compassion for yourself. Just acknowledge that it's hard where it's hard and it's not what you were expecting. You're not the parent that you thought you'd be. And that's okay. You are where you're at. There's no need to feel guilt about it. You are where you are at. And each day is an opportunity to change where you're at. And you can either change it and make a change moving forward, or you can stay sitting in your shit pit crying about how you wish you were a different parent, but not changing into a different parent. It might be a bit brutal. Calm down, Rebecca. Okay. I am compassionate when I'm working one-on-one, but it's really hard to give. See, now I'm explaining. I don't need to explain. But how long did it take for you to feel normal again after grief? 6 months ago, I lost my dad to cancer. We didn't have a great relationship, and even though he caused so much pain towards me and my mum, I still miss him, but I also hate what he did to us. There's like 3 aspects to this. The first aspect I want to say is like acknowledging that he hurt you and your mum, and acknowledging that you miss him. That's like the first step in the grief process is like, I loved this person and they were great, but they also caused me so much pain. And just accepting that is what it is. That is how you feel, and that's okay. How long did it take me to feel normal again after grief? Oh my gosh. Honestly, I think I was numb for 2 years. It took at least 2 years to like kind of decide that I could let go and that I was done grieving. But grief is a very normal process and it takes as long as it takes. There's no need to rush it. You just let it be and you make the choice to get up every day and carry on, to acknowledge the good that there was and acknowledge the hurt that there was, and just take each day, be gentle with yourself, send love to your dad, because in sending love to your dad, it's sending love to yourself. You are a product of him. Without him, you wouldn't be here. So like, don't deny your life force in the fact that he made mistakes, he fucked up, he hurt you, but he is your father and he is your life force. So like honoring that in the sense of, I love you, Dad. And that's enough. Okay, this question cracked me up. And this question, I don't know if this is a troll or like what, but I thought it was quite funny. So Why do people do a karakia before kai and then smash back KFC like it's healthy? I don't know. Why do they? I think it's okay to eat shitty food in moderation. I also think that like we can as humans become very ritualistic and like what we're doing. It's like we do this because we do it, but there's no meaning behind it. And I also think that like, so what? So what if they're eating KFC? Their body, their choice. But I did have to laugh because I thought, not in this certain situation, but like in that space of like people can try and perform like be spiritual, and they're these spiritual baddies, but then they're like sitting in the staff room judging what someone's wearing, and someone can, or it's more like someone preaches self-love and like body positivity, but then they like bitch about their sister and how much it's unfair that she can be skinnier than them. Like, do you get what I'm saying? It's like an oxymoron. Okay. Who or what has been the most unexpected teacher in your life, and what lesson did they leave you with? I've had many teachers in my life. I know, and there's three that come to mind: my son, my baby mama, and my baby daddy. All three of them have taught me so many lessons that were unexpected, and they all left me with a different lesson. And all of them have stretched me to be a better person. So with my baby mama, it was, oh my God, she just opened the door to me, to my own spirituality, to my own power, to being who I was here to be. And to like, she led me closer to accepting myself. My baby daddy, he taught me to be true in who I am, to honor my worth and my value. And he also taught me how to cut through the bullshit, man. Like he was ruthless with his what do you call it? What's the word? Critiquing. And so he just honed in on whatever flaw there was, and I emerged and I've polished it, and I hope that I'm a better person for it. But man, it was a hard time. He probably was one of my biggest teachers. And I have so much love for him now. Like, great guy, did bad shit. And yeah, and my son, the lesson he leaves me with is just to be curious and to not always think that I know the way. And to be present, to just honor being present. This one made me laugh too. Is it normal to feel embarrassed for people who call themselves light workers but have the personality of wet cardboard? Where does the term wet cardboard come in? Like, is it normal for people to is it normal to feel embarrassed for people who call themselves light workers but have the personality of wet cardboard? What is the personality of wet cardboard? Is that like flaky? Or is that like no, it must be flaky, soggy. Wet cardboard. What is the personality of wet cardboard? Is that like that? I think that's just a dig. I don't really have anything to contribute to that question. How do you balance raising your kids with healing your own inner child? Oh my gosh, until I had done my inner children work, it was tough. It was tough. And like my own inner children were getting triggered as fuck by my own children all the time. And so it wasn't until I worked on that I actually was able to let go and be okay with raising my kids the way that I wanted to raise them, not the way that my inner children thought they should be raised, because my inner children were very jealous of the fact that my children get to sleep in my bed. My inner child was very jealous of the fact that I could be partway through doing something and stop and attend to my children. And so I had to like really teach my inner children that it's okay. It's not like how you got treated, but you know what? That's how we're going to treat them. And you don't have to be jealous because I'm here for you. And just like telling my own inner children, like, I'm here for you. I love you. And reassuring them. And then eventually they kind of take a back seat and I hardly hear from them anymore. If you want more stuff on the inner child work, there is a podcast episode that I did with Tiriana about the 5 childhood wounds. It's a great podcast. It was actually a workshop that we did for the wānanga, but we decided to just make it open access to everyone. The next question. I'm trying to trust my intuition more, but every time I get a gut feeling, my brain starts a full-blown monkey symbol drama on all the reasons I could be wrong. How do you actually know when it's intuition versus anxiety? How do you know when it's actually intuition versus anxiety? You've got to learn to differentiate them. I was a highly anxious person, like very anxious. There was a time in my life where I had to take weeks off work because of my anxiety. And a lot of that went back to my own belief of not being good enough. And then I spiraled into this whole paranoia. Like I became quite unwell. I was in this whole paranoia of they think I'm a bad person. They can see what I'm thinking. I went deep in that. And I remember I had this was in one of my breakdowns that I had when I was probably like 20, must have been 23, 22, 21. I think I was 21 actually. And I had this whole breakdown. And at that point, I don't even think I could hear my intuition. So that's not to say it wasn't there. I think that I just didn't trust myself. So I would say the key is just to build the trust within yourself, to acknowledge that that you have the inner knowing and the capability to tune in and that you know things, and just building that trust with yourself. So you get that gut feeling, but then your brain takes over. That's like the brain trying to rationalize everything. Breathe into it, drop down into your belly, and just listen. But taking the breaths, the in breath, the out breath. And then just tune in. Let the mind be still. Drop the energy from the head down into the body. And then ha ki roto, ha ki waho. Hope that helps. One of my oldest friends and I barely speak anymore. Nothing happened, but our lives drifted apart. I have kids and she doesn't. Part of me feels like I should fight for the friendship, and part of me wonders if letting go makes more sense. Any words of wisdom? I'd just say that the people who are supposed to be in your life are in your life, and it may be that there's a pause on the friendship and that you go your separate ways. Having kids and not having kids are like two very different lifestyles. And so sometimes that just, you drift apart and then you come back together. But anything that you have to force isn't anything that feels like a lot of effort is not for you. Is not for you, but it should just feel natural. It shouldn't feel like a chore. Like hanging out with your friends shouldn't feel like a chore. Calling your friends to see how they are shouldn't feel like a chore. So if it feels like a chore, then let it go. Maybe it'll come back to you. Maybe you guys have taught each other everything you need to know. But just know that you can be grateful for them and the role they have played and let them go with love, or you can hold on to it and like really try to make it work, and then just actually end up resenting them because I always call you and you never call me, and I'm the one with kids, and it can get really, really shitty really fast. So just acknowledge that they've been a friend for you and they've been there, and vice versa, and it'll be what it will be. The next one. I feel isolated because few people understand how intense parenting my neurodivergent child is. I'm interested in your tips on building a healthy community around me. I just agree that raising a neurodivergent child, it can be intense. And yeah, people don't understand. Even some of my closest friends haven't understood the complexities of what it is that I deal with on a day-to-day. And that's okay. It's not for them to necessarily have to understand. And so building community is just finding the people to join you that support you and know you. And it is nice when you can find someone that gets it, that's going through the same struggle as you. And I have a very close friend of mine who is doing the same, like parenting really intense kids. And it's hard, and she's doing it on her own too. And we've become like really close through our sharing our experiences together and holding space for each other. So I guess what I want to say is just be open to new experiences with new people and sharing what you're struggling with. And one way for me was that our school did like our school did like a morning coffee group, and so I used to go to that every week, and that's where I met some of my best friends now. So I guess it's just looking at what's out there in your area that aligns. I knew that the mums that went to that coffee group probably more align with me than, say, if I went to, I don't know, other things. So I guess knowing what's in your area that aligns with your values, and maybe it's an online space to begin with, and just finding people that make it feel less lonely. One of my really good friends, actually, her name's Dena. We met in an online space and we would message back and forth for years. We've been friends for like 6 years now. And the amount of physical time we've spent together is not that much. Like, we did stay with them for 2 weeks last year. And like, she came up for my moko kauae. And but like, in terms of our friendship physically, we're not there a lot for each other physically, but I could pick up my phone and ring her at any time of day or night and she will be there for me, and vice versa. And we're both parenting neurodivergent kids. So it doesn't always have to be like in the way that you think. And something I've always done is I've called in, like I asked the universe, like before I was moving back to Hamilton, I was feeling really isolated, and I just said to the universe, like, and to God, like, I want some good friendships. I've been so lonely for so many years. Like, send me people, man. And they turned up. They arrived, and they're beautiful. Next question. What's the pettiest hill you'll die on? The pettiest hill I'll die on. What's the pettiest hill you'll die on? I don't really know, but I know that one thing that really fucks me off is if I'm at the lights and I haven't driven off fast enough, people tooting at me like, bro, it's been green for like 2.2 seconds. Like, do not toot at me. How many times can you reinvent yourself before people stop taking you seriously? I don't know. Do you take me seriously? I've reinvented myself many times and I'm not ashamed of it. It's just who I am. And I love all the different versions of me. I think I'm in the version I like the most now, but I would have said that also like back 5 years ago. So I think People will only take you as seriously as you take yourself. Okay, let's do one more question and then I think that's enough because it will have nearly been an hour and no one wants to listen to me talk for more than an hour. If you do, you can leave a comment or a review and then I could maybe talk for an hour or more. And if you have any questions, you can submit them too. Last question. People keep telling me I need to just be firmer or give consequences to my 4-year-old. I feel like that only makes things worse. How can I teach firmness without pushing my kid into a freaking meltdown every time? I get this battle, like this battle of, do I need to be firmer? Do I need to be softer? I literally was just talking about it with my partner at the pediatrician. I was saying, like, do I need to be firmer or do I need to be softer? It's like, it's a case-by-case thing. It's not clear-cut. And how can you teach firmness without pushing your kid into freaking meltdown? Well, I think it's just holding the boundary that you hold with love and clarity. Like if you know, I'm sorry, but it's bedtime at 7 p.m. and you do that every night, the kids are going to know it's bedtime every night at 7 p.m. And like that's, for me, that's like one clear boundary that I've always held. And that's literally not because I care about the amount of sleep they get. It's because it sounds bad, but it's because I care about me. Like I need time to myself. So sorry, you don't have to go to sleep at 7 p.m., but you are getting in bed at 7 p.m. And obviously as they get older, that'll change. But the phase of life I'm in now, they need to be in bed at 7 p.m. And so does that cause meltdowns sometimes? Yep. Do I deal with it? Yep. Is it fun? No. And do I yell sometimes? Yes. So I think it's for the meltdown thing is like sometimes you can't avoid a meltdown. So it's just managing the meltdown in the moment. You can do everything right and your kid still melts down. And so I think for a little while I got afraid of the meltdowns and I just became really too lenient and let him get away with way too many things that I shouldn't have because of the fear of a meltdown. And so now it's like trying to keep myself regulated that if he has a meltdown, it's okay. Like breathe through it, hold, and then move on. But just having that internal wānanga or conversation with yourself of like, what is it that the boundary needs to be that you are firm on and what boundaries don't matter. For me, like boundaries around food are quite lax in that like I will provide my kids their meals, but they also can snack in between meals and choose something different. I just don't want to have that fight every day with them. I can't be bothered. One of my children is particularly fussy. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't care as long as you're eating something. And then my way around that is like, I don't have shit food in the house. Like there's no cookies, there's no crackers, there's no chips. Like we're in an ingredients household. So that instantly limits the types of food that my child has access to. And that's the way I've dealt with it, rather than having to fight him every time of like, no, you cannot have biscuits for breakfast. Well, if the biscuits aren't there, then he can't like have a meltdown over the biscuits for breakfast. And that's honestly how I navigate a lot of our scenarios, is like just not even having that there as an option, just not even entertaining that thought, because it's not worth it to me. To have to deal with that meltdown every day. Anyway, I hope that this has been interesting for you to listen to. If you made it this far, nice, good on you. Hopefully next time I'll have a microphone and that will be better sound quality. Also, please do leave a comment or a review if you enjoyed it. And feel free to leave any questions as well. And I better do a plug too for my Virtual Roots. So Virtual Roots is starting in September. the dates are on my website. It's a 10-week self-development spiritual practice course. I will teach you spiritual practices as well as do deep inner child work with you, as well as make sure that you are asking yourself the hard questions to push you into deeper growth and expansion. It's not an easy course. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of commitment, but it will change your life. So if you're interested in that, go have a look at the details on my website. There's a whole course outline under Virtual Roots on my website. The next Legacy of Light is full. That's in September, and that's a 3-day wānanga. If you want information for that, that's also on my website. And if you wanted to read the post about the savior complex that listener asked about, that is on my Patreon, which you can also find through my website. Bekamarie.co.nz is my website. Thanks for listening.